me ask you something. Have you ever been behind the walls of a penitentiary? Were you there because you were sentenced by the court, or were you there as a visitor? What was that experience like, knowing when you went behind those walls with prison guard on a tower, shoot to kill if need be, and not able to leave such a place if you were sentenced there to serve, if you were sentenced there due to a crime? Or what was it like as a visitor, knowing that you are inside and nothing would abruptly come about that would keep you there, such as a riot? For many of us, we watch prison on television, may watch documentaries, but still not having that true feel of what it's really like when you're inside. Come with me on this journey as I take you on a scared straight, also known as speak out, and what that's like when you take a bunch of kids, when you take a bunch of delinquent kids, or kids maybe that are beyond control and therefore in need of supervision, to such a place, to give them a little insight and maybe serve as a deterrent so they themselves don't find themselves in such a place later on. We're at a medium secure state penitentiary. In such a place, you have people there for nonviolent offenses, but also you have your lifers for much more violent offenses. And the lifers will tell you they don't get close to other people that are not lifers. So therefore, non-lifers don't attach themselves to lifers. Because you can imagine how sad it is when their sentence is up and they have to leave. And then it's like starting all over again, developing relationships. Because bonding is important in prison. Having someone to have your back is much more important. Would you consider prison to be a living hell on earth? I do. And the thing is, being able to go to such facilities, but able to leave, because I'm there as a PO, probation officer, taking kids to deter them, to get them to see, getting them to understand by continuing on a path of destruction where they can end up, in which I've seen so many end up, and then heed into the words that came out of my mouth, trying to save them from such a place. But in this prison, we go inside the administration building. We have about 15 or 20 kids with us, boys and girls, and this is an all-male prison. And everyone gets educated when they pull out this large case, glass casing, of numerous weapons found inside that prison. And we're talking shanks. You can't even imagine, from your imagination, the things that they use to make such weapons. A comb, such as the smallest thing that you can imagine, that somehow that they can find a way to grind and make a point, and with that comb, tear off every teeth, grind it to the wall to create a point. Because you need protection. Because in a prison, you can have some of the worst of the worst there is. People that don't have a conscience. People that won't hesitate to take you out. On this speak out, we're in the administration building and showing us all the different shanks, toothbrushes, you name it. If it can be filed down and create a point, you can imagine it's in there. And then when we're done being educated about the weapons confiscated in such a place, then we go to another area, this locked door. And once it closes behind us, then you have 3 lifers that comes out. And 2 I can remember to this day, Kenny and Buddy. And Buddy was in prison for killing his father, his brother, and his best friend because he discovered that his father had molested his sister. And Buddy allegedly had killed 12 people while in prison. And the thing is, and Kenny was in there for manslaughter involving a pool game. But these guys, once we go in behind that wall and we have the juveniles, the kids with us, and then they just come out and straight and tell them, pull up your pants. Give them a rope to put in their belt loops if their pants are sagging. And then they would tell them, tuck in your shirt tails. And then they would say, your PO can't do anything to us here because this is our house. We're here and we're gonna die here. And they know it. Imagine that. You surrender knowing that you would never get out of prison. That's gonna be your grave. Imagine that. And then we leave out of that room, go through another locked door. Now, we're on the outside. We're on the inside of the courtyard of the state penitentiary. And you can see the guard at the tower with their guns, with the rifle, pointing out, watching everybody. And then we're told by these guys, part of the Speak Out program, AKA Scared Straight, to stay on the sidewalk, giving us directions. Don't look at anybody. And here's the thing. Many times when we depart to go to another location within the prison, walking through the main yard, inmates are out. But these guys, following their instructions, now by us walking through this courtyard on the sidewalk, and the other inmates are out and about, you can hear the noise, whistling, and all of that. They were having fun. But then again, that whistling is serious in a state penitentiary. Then we go to this room that looked like a library. And in the library, you always have the guys lead out. But this one guy, Buddy, he's the last one to speak. And they tell us their stories, what got them there. And meanwhile, you can see Buddy, he's just laying back, paying attention to those that are not paying attention, not taking it seriously. But his time comes up later to speak near the end. And then we depart from there, and then we go inside the mess hall, the cafeteria you may want to call it. And we ate among them. Not all of the main inmates, but more those like in your trustee type jobs or situations. But still we ate with them. And I must tell you this, the prison that we used to go to, they ate very well, very well. Because if you notice, when people end up going to juvenile detention or adults going to jail or prison, if they've been there for a little while, when they come out, they're bigger because they eat well. Then as we're done eating, all instructions are again followed. Then we go to another room, a different location, a different part of the prison campus. And we stay on the sidewalk, but as we exit the mess hall, you can see all inmates lined up for a very long way, waiting to get in. And then again, they're whistling, saying things about what they want you and what they're gonna do to you. And our inmate guides, they would tell us they're just having fun. Imagine that. You're in prison, even for a year or longer, knowing that you can't get out. Your freedoms are restricted, taken away. And these guys see something new come in, they're having fun. And then we go to another location. And then it's Buddy's time to talk. Then Buddy targets those that were not paying attention, thinking they were trying to score points to let them know, my brother, my uncle, my daddy was here. You may know him. Like they were trying to be friends with those individuals. Like it was a good thing. And it wasn't a good thing. And then Buddy shows everyone part of his shoulder taken out from a shotgun blast running from the police during a robbery. Then they show us all these photos of people killed within the prison system. Bodies dumped in barrels with flour and oil and everything else. Brutal, horrific scenes, true real-life pictures that most of you can't stomach to watch. But these things do happen in prison. People get killed in prison. Because in prison, you have the baddest of the crazies. And then Buddy. And it seems that Buddy have a tendency to relive that situation. And I'm sitting there thinking, what if he have a relapse? I'm already planning what chair I'm gonna get to break over his head. But of the years we did that, and the number of kids that we took, he never lost control, even though it seems at times he was about to. So you can imagine, we go in there, we go to that penitentiary about 10 o'clock, and then we leave about 3 o'clock that evening. Think of that's a full day. And the thing is, while we're there, we get to see the insides of the pen. We get to see the rooms. We get to see when they're held in the hole for violations. This is where extreme consequences, by restricting you, confining you in an area where really other crazies exist. And you're told, don't get close, because the things that they can do, imagine, throw feces at you. But where these guys were was just a window, a little small window in the door that we can peek in and see them. And boy, you can hear the noise going nonstop because there's a lot of mental illness in the penitentiary. But as we're about to depart, we're walking the long sidewalks again on our way out and looking up and still seeing that security guard with the rifle at the towers. And as we walk out and we get in the cars and the vans, and then everyone talk about their experience. And I must say this, me being a former police officer, as well as a juvenile probation and parole officer, sending people to jail, and ultimately some went to prison, and seeing juveniles who went to juvenile detention. And it was not juvenile hall, it is really jail, because they didn't heed to what they learned, but most did. And still to this day, those that are now adults reflect back on that moment and talked about how it scared them. Because I must say, even as their PO and behind those prison walls, I too was scared. Just the thought of not being able to leave. Just the thought that something bad would happen while we were there. But when leaving, what a relief that was. And then, of course, they listen to the kids talk about it. Think about the silence on the way back, because it was an experience. So for those of you out there that want to continue to do wrong, for those of you out there that continues to violate the law and don't learn from your experience, I hope you get a chance to hear this recording, to know that prison is no joke. And don't be like some people I've heard before say, oh, time is nothing. I can do time. I can do 2-3 years standing on my head. Who in their right mind want to do that? But I remember hearing that when I was a teenager coming up. And then, of course, I found myself later on as an adult trying my best to prevent kids from going to such a place. Trying my best to do my part to instill hope and dream in kids. Get them to think about their future because they come from a home or environment that they never discussed dreams. They saw no hope. Or maybe they were bullied because they were bullied by someone. And the joy that I got when I saw those that succeeded, that those that remember that time at the penitentiary, and knowing that they were able to leave. And one of the sad things is hearing someone shout out my name, "Hey, Mr. Wilkins," and I looked over, and it was someone that I dealt with when he was a kid. To see him graduate in the pen, he was happy to see me because I was a familiar face, and I was glad to see him too. But then I'd had to let him know how disappointed I was. The penitentiary. Is that in your future? And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still go to the pen if you violate the law, if you hurt somebody, if you steal from somebody, and don't let you really kill anybody. Because the penitentiary is no joke. Your freedom is taken away, and you'll be told when to do it and when not to do it, and whatever that may be. And here's something to also add to it. I remember Buddy saying, in this place, things occur that shouldn't occur. Because when I go to bed, I'm looking at a man. When I wake up, I'm looking at a man. And I'm a man, and I have these urges. So imagine another man's manhood being taken away. And he also said, don't think it's going to be any one-on-one fights here. They don't play that way. It's going to be one on many. And that's how they take you down. So let my words serve as a deterrent for you. Let my words sever in your heart, in your mind, and never forget it. You don't want to go to prison. Do all you can not to go. And it's so simple. Just do the right thing. If you don't understand right from wrong and you go to prison, that's on you. But if you just do what is right, obey the law, obey the good book, obey and do the right thing, you won't go to prison. Are there innocent people in prison? Of course there are. Because there is nothing that's perfect. But not just that, there are many people in prison, not by something that they did, but were with the people who did it. They may be considered an accomplice, an accessory to a crime, when they knew what was going on, but they failed to break away. Behind the walls of a penitentiary is not a place where anyone wants to be. Because when you get out, after being in there for so many years, life has passed you by. Everything is like a culture shock to you when you get out. Because I remember Buddy saying, I had never seen a microwave. I had never eaten at McDonald's. Imagine that. Things we take for granted. And they've been in prison for so long, decades, and hadn't seen such things, the things that we enjoy today, technology, fast food, even just a can of soda or a candy bar is so valuable in prison. And they do have their own code of ethics inside the pen. So if you have the misfortune of going to prison, understand this. When you're getting off that bus, there are guys already sizing you up for devious reasons. Use your imagination. And like Buddy said, for some of you guys, and I'm not going to say all the profane words he said, but don't think when you see me when you get off that bus that I'm your friend, because I won't know you, and you'll get treated just like everybody else here, and whatever that entails. So let this be an education as well as a warning to all of you that's listening to this right now. Please, please, please do the right thing and avoid prison.